Welcome folks to the Via Pinstriping page. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much again for watching. Today we're just gonna do a little quick design. Last time I did this sort of center line with the tape deal. I'm gonna try to do that again. So I'm just eyeballing. Sometimes this is good if you have a situation like a matte painted car that's rough, or a something with like the patina, and you don't want to have to try to erase the grid line, because that can become, sometimes it can become a challenge. All right, so I'm just roughly eyeballing. This is going to be my center. I'm actually not going to put anything there until I lift up the tape. So I'm also going to give myself a little tape, just a little guideline to see where the camera can see, so the camera can roughly see most of it. All right, till about, we'll say we'll stop roughly right here. We get most of the action, right? That's just for me to try to stay between. We're going to be using the Kafka number 3 scrolling brush. I like to use scrollers for design work. It's easiest for me. I'm going to be reducing with M&P Naphtha, which you can purchase at any hardware store for the most part. I think it works better than mineral spirits, so I've switched from the mineral spirits. And I'm going to be working with a Magenta. I'm not sure what brand this Magenta is, to be honest. I think it's One Shot, but I have it in the bottle now, so I'm unsure. It's definitely not Alpha this time, because you know, Alpha comes in their own bottle, so I wouldn't have had to have transferred it over again. So let's see what we can come up with here. I'm reducing the paint right now. Sorry that is not on camera, but we're just going to focus on the design aspect. So I might not go so tall because my shoulder wants to hit the camera. Let's try to come up with something here. We're going to start here. I'm just going to go do somewhat of an S curve. Maybe we'll exaggerate the bottom half, right? So the top half is a slight curve with a large bottom. I don't remember what I did on the last design video. It was similar, where I did the tape, but I do not recall what the design looks like. I always wipe these off. I only have one blank black panel at the moment, so I've been having to reuse it. So now I'm just trying really hard. I'm using both my regular vision and my peripheral vision to sort of understand the distance and line weight, right? So the benefit to the tape thing is, well, again, you don't have to try to rub off a grid. The downside is I mean, it might not be a downside, but you sort of have to use your internal grid to try to mimic side to side, right? So let's do like this. We're going to come in. I'm not going to touch. And some people say, well, where do you come up with this design? I've studied a lot of designs. I had no pre-plan for this one at all. So, you know, I just didn't want to touch there because I'd like to maybe try to do something interesting with it besides just closing it off, right? So here you want to try to create the same shape. Have the lines with the same weight if you can, and try to make sure you end at the same spot. Right? So let's see, maybe I'll come out. Always make sure that your connection points are clean and precise and they're not overcrossing, right? You want them to end. which is one of the benefits to using the scrollers, is you're not working off of the sword, which the sword sort of ends further back. For you to get the line width, the scrollers is just a tip, right? So, you know, it's just a very tip. So it's kind of easier for me to find the ending points or the beginning points, because they meet right at the very tip of the brush. All right, so I'm currently reducing, and because I'm not scrolling, I kind of want the paint to be a little bit tacky, right? So I'm gonna go in. I think I'm gonna follow this down some. Try to get close to that tape. The closer I can get to the tape, the easier it will be for me to create the center bit, because I need these outer lines to guide me. Currently, we have nothing in the center. We're just working around it. And if I can create some things, now, because of the camera, I can't really get the way I want, right? So I'm gonna have to sort of create this. I notice that this goes up. I can't really get the way I want to make that work, so I'm kind of gonna create it, right? So I'm gonna go up just a little bit. And you see this previous line is a good place to have a starting meeting point, because I don't have to try to pick up the line. It's sort of buried underneath that last one. It's being camouflaged, right? So I can just pick it right back up here. It's a good meeting point. And try to mimic the other side. Try to keep the same distance if I can, and the same line weight, right? So far I like the shape. I'd actually like to maybe double up on that shape. Come out here and do it again. All right, so I'm just gonna go a little bit in and a little bit lower and just follow that line. I don't know why, I just felt like I wanted a double, right? Which, you know, a lot of the design process is just adding weight where you feel it makes sense. And the way you learn that over time, to be completely honest, is not just practice, but studying these designs, studying the people that create the designs that you like. Try to focus on little moves, little doodads and whatnots that they do, and try to look and see why you like them. Why do you like what they did? Pinpoint a certain move that you saw that you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. And you can always borrow them moves and sort of make them your own, right? You don't want to fully copy somebody's style, because it's always pretty obvious. It's always pretty obvious when somebody's completely copied somebody else's style. Sometimes you see it when folks have gotten instruction from somebody else, which is, you know, totally understandable. If you get instruction from somebody, your style will eventually look like theirs, because their instructions are usually very personal, you know. There's another word I'm looking for, but I can't quite think of it right now. So, let's see if I want to do anything. Maybe I got space, right? So maybe I could come out again. Tell you what, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and pull this tape down. So I'm not gonna pull it down super far. I'll pull it down right here. And I may pull it down as I go, because I kind of want to use that as a guide to where I'm going, right? So kind of figure out where the middle is, right? I am guessing, but the idea is to try to make it as precise as you can. Try to stay in the middle. I personally prefer drawing grids because I have a damaged right eye, and having the straight line down the middle to follow is a big help to me personally. Right? Paint got a little dry there. You may not be able to see, but there's a little bit of streaking. Usually if you have streaking, it's one, because the paint is too dry, or two, because you're moving too fast, and three, you might not be pressing down hard enough. You know, and all of this stuff is by feel, right? It's almost like your grandmother's cooking. She could tell you, but there's a feeling to it. There's a feeling to the understanding of what you're doing, right? Now, I think I'm gonna press down and create sort of a teardrop shape. So the top one is an open teardrop shape. The bottom one is a closed one. Right. Now I'm gonna pull this down the rest of the way, which we're gonna stop right here. And let's see if I can give this some finishing moves, right? So the question is, do I want to work off of these two? Yeah, let's see if I can create something that looks cool with that. So I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out here. Right? I'm going to come in slightly upward. That way it's a little more interesting than just the flat, right? So ups and downs. I like the idea of up and down with designs. It gives a little bit of bounce, a little bit of movement, right? I think we're going to come out. My meeting point there has a little dip, so I'm going to clean that up, right? Be very careful when you're cleaning up points. Try to knock some of the paint off. Here, I don't want to mess up the design, but I always just roll some of the tip off, and you want the paint to be barely dry because you're just filling in a little teeny tiny spot. If it's too wet, you're just going to blotch, right? So you want this is real precise. The drier the paint, the more precise, and the less it will give you, the less line it will give you. You can get a more precise line if it's more dry, but if it's more wet, you would get a longer line, slightly less precise. The more wet it gets, the more flow you can get out of the paint, but the less precision you get, generally. Right. Now, I kind of like that point, so I'm not going to round it off yet. I think I'm actually going to create a point here. Come back to where it was. Right? Again, it got dry. So I'm just not, currently I feel like I'm not reducing as well as I should be. I'm kind of rushing the design for YouTube's sake, right? For content's sake. We want to keep on trucking. And these are, the good thing about these videos is it kind of like forces me to create something on the fly, and also makes me analyze it, which is pretty cool. Because usually you're just at the house, or you're working on a car, or whatever it is you're doing, and you're just doing. So these videos, and let me tell you folks, if you've considered starting a YouTube channel for your art, don't hesitate. I don't edit these. I just put my camera, it's my phone. It's not even a camera. And when I'm done, I swear to God, I'm just gonna upload it to YouTube. I'm not gonna edit, nothing. I might make a thumbnail for it. And even so, there's like a free app called Canva that allows me to make a quick thumbnail. So I don't overcomplicate these things. And if you considered making a YouTube channel, I highly recommend it. I can't tell you how rewarding it's been to be able to make these videos, and folks, you know, follow what I do, and it's taken me around the country, you know, and some of these videos are being watched around the world. It's insane. All right, so now I've created my little, it's a little breakup from the smooth and the bulbous, right, kind of like these almost onion looking shapes. It kind of breaks it up, right? So now we want to end it, I would like to end it with another round shape, just to have it cohesive, right? So what I'm gonna do, because I don't want to lose the middle point, I'm gonna just put a dot where I think the middle is. I'm gonna cross there, so it's not that big a deal. So I'm gonna start here, I'm gonna go out and in. Out, I'm gonna cross where that little dot is, and in, right? I'm gonna do the same thing over here, and we're gonna try to maintain the same distance so it actually goes past the line a little bit. So I need to go past the line a little bit. Try to maintain the same shape. Right? So it crosses pretty quick, a little bit past the line, and try to eyeball the center. Right? Clean them up. And maybe we'll do another kind of round-ish shape at the bottom. We'll go in, we'll go out, and we're going to use this tape to end, right, the middle of the tape, because this is still my center line. I've not drawn a center line. I've worked off of the tape the entire time by slowly pulling little bits of it off. It isn't my favorite method, but it is a good tool to have the ability to do it. I like a nice grid line. I like a 2-inch grid line, if in case anybody's wondering. And there you have it, folks. A nice little design. You know, if you're at a motorcycle rally and you have somebody that would like some pink on their motorcycle, or magenta, as my friend Jack Fleming likes to say. It's magenta, it's not pink. Shout out to Jack Fleming. Check out his page, Fleming Artistry, on YouTube and Instagram. And another shout out to Cherry Bomb Pinstriping, which is me, Cherry Bomb, and Jack have a group message where we always bounce off ideas. So shout out to both of them. Check out their pages. And now I'm just going to give it a little signature. Right, my signature is a bunch of straight lines because I didn't know how to do any lettering when I first started doing pinstriping, which I know very little still. So I developed this signature, one that I could do. And I always add the little swoop because if I'm a little off center, which it's a little bit to the right now, I'll add the swoop a little bit to the left and it will help recenter me. At least it gives it that illusion, right? Kind of kicks it back the other way. All right, folks, let me know what you think. I'll try to leave it up a little bit longer while I clean up. You know, you could always add a little bit of weight here. You can add a dot, right? Always create a dot. If you want to make a more precise dot, you could always use the back of the paintbrush. Usually I'll squeegee off some paint with a popsicle stick. I'll use this paint that I've been painting with and I'll dip the back of the brush and it creates a nice dot. And if you can do them in repeating them, they become smaller as you do them. Thanks again so much for watching, folks, and I hope you have a good night. Make sure to leave a comment, make sure to share if you can, and I appreciate all of you watching. Have a good night.